welcome to Stars Chaser Central, where it's a podcast of Charles Hampton music moments and everything in between. I'm Slade Braxton.
And I am Mike D. Jackson.
Um, how you doing, man? I know outside is it's cold, snowy.
It
I'm
is.
kind of wondering why you're wearing a jersey.
So there's really no reason for me to wear the jersey. Obviously, I'm inside, so it's warm in here. By the way, if y'all can't see, no pun intended, John Cena chain gang soldier jersey. You feel me?
Right.
Shout out to Chalkline, not sponsored by them. This is podcast not sponsored by them at all. Anyway, I'm just wearing it just to be something different. Even though I know this is a audio adventure for some people, it's a visual adventure for some people, and I could easily just put on a black shirt. And we do this every week. I just don't want no one to say, "Damn, this dude's wearing a black shirt every day. Yo, this man stink. He wearing a black every episode. He wearing a black shirt. Oh man, he dirty." Obviously, that's not how that works. But I, it's weird to me. I think about cartoons like Doug. How Doug will always have that green vest on and the khaki shorts.
Mhm.
When one of the episodes they showed his whole closet
Mhm.
full. But I don't know. I'm just weird about stuff like that. That's literally it. Just wear something different for the
I-
pod. So.
No, I got you. That's hilarious. I mean, now I feel like I should show my jump. Shout out to you, Hakusho, man. Got that Karasu hoodie from the Dark Tournament.
Hey, look,
Uh,
we're kind of matching a little bit. Cause look, I got the blue on with this, and you got the blue bandana. I don't know if
yeah,
you
man. Yeah,
I don't know, I don't know if you set tripping or not, but I don't want no beef.
no, I don't think it's nothing like that. No Casanova.
All right.
But I'm good, man, and I'm ready to record a new episode and review a new tape for us. And today it is an interesting one. Because I don't know how official it is, and we'll kind of get into that just based off your adventure trying to find the tape. Turn first sessions, man. Turn first sessions.
Yes, sir. So, Term First Sessions was released. I want to say it was like June or July of 2017, but it's a little iffy on the date for that because when it actually got recorded was about 2014, 2015, when Charles was first with Turn First, Turn First Records, the London situation he had. And I was trying to look up information on it. I really couldn't find too much. Like you said, it's not really official. It is official music, but it didn't get released like how most projects get released. I remember at the time, Charles on his Bandcamp, he had this project, and I can't even tell you how many other projects he had on there, but basically he was like, "Hey y'all, I got some projects out here, bunch of different music. I hope you guys check them out. Please donate, show some love. If you spend some money, please do." I had to look up a tweet I had. It was in December. So this came out, let's say June, July. I
Mhm.
didn't check this out until December. And for whatever reason, I think with me, I was just like, I don't know. I'll get to it when I get to it.
Mhm.
But I do remember when I did listen to it. It just wasn't when it first came out, though. But like we said, this was recorded 2014, 2015. So Charles was still signed when this was recorded. But by the time he dropped it, he was no longer with Republic or Turn First.
Yeah. I do remember when this. I don't even know if I remember when this came out. I never know like timelines. I remember having it because I remember it being on my iPod. I think I picked up an iPod, a newer one. Newer is relative. I got another one. It wasn't new, obviously, because iPods went out of style a while ago. But I
Yeah.
got another one from like a tech shop, so I could kind of fill it with different music that I acquired over the years. And this is one of the things I put on there. And I remember being like, oh, okay, this is cool. This is, and you kind of got the vibe like, oh, I see what period this was recorded in. So it was fun to, kind of get those lost files, if you will, that didn't quite make it at the time. What about you? How did you feel when you first heard it?
So it's interesting because I'm trying to figure out, and I'll answer this, but I have a question for you.
Mhm.
Basically, I'm trying to figure out how I even decided to download this or choose it. Because, like I said, there's a bunch of other Charles projects, and I remember like when you look at some of his artwork, it's different. There's different things on there. This
Mhm.
artwork is pretty interesting, but I remember being like, okay, um, I guess I'll choose this one. I think that's what I said. I literally was like, I guess I'll choose this one. Check it out. And then when I first heard it, I'm like, oh, this is great. maybe I did choose it because of the name Turn First Sessions. I'm like, all right, well, maybe this is like unreleased stuff. That's what I was assuming. I'm like, okay, maybe it's unreleased stuff that came out when he was signed. Checked it out, loved it. I was like, oh, this is great. Wow. And I was like, I want to see if there's any more music like this because I was trying to figure out, okay, most of these songs, pretty sure Charles wasn't producing them, but how did he get them, you know? But I did enjoy the project when I first listened to it. My question though, like I said, what made you even check it out? Because I know for me in like 2017 and like December, I said, hey y'all should check this out. This is kind of on the same level of his album Hamilton Charles. Like if you like those type of records, you might want to check this out. But I don't know how everyone else found it if they did find it. I know some people they didn't even hear it on Bandcamp. They heard it on YouTube when it just got released.
Yeah, it's a great question. Because we don't talk about the importance, and that'll be another episode we could probably do one day. Just kind of ranking our favorite covers over the years. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
But we don't talk about enough how like a cover or like a name of a tape can kind of sway our decision to download or not to download, right? There's always we always talk about it, there's always the era where we were just downloading everything. Didn't matter what it was called, what you know what I'm saying? It was like, ooh, let me get that. Um, then, as you get older, you kind of become more selective. You're like, well, let me see. You might sample a song here or there first. It's like, let me see if this is gonna be good. I guess for me, I think Charles must have said something on the timeline or whatever. Had probably put out something, said something like said, put out the link or whatever. I probably went over there, like, I haven't gotten a Charles, tape in a while. Went and grabbed that. Also, this is kind of around the time again, Hamilton Charles. We were kind of excited about, being able to buy the album via iTunes or whatever, however people, purchased it or whatever. So I'm pretty sure that was probably my reasoning, you know, just because, he put it out there. It's kind of in the same era. I did enjoy some of those songs that came out during this era or whatever. I'm trying to remember, was the Bites EP also similar in that kind of in the same era?
To be honest, I can't remember. To me, I'll be honest. I remember people talking about the bite before Charles got signed again.
Mhm,
And I kind of figured it was a myth because there's like maybe two people that would say, "Yo, I actually got the bite. Y'all need to hear the bite." And it's like, all
mhm,
right, so what is it? Where can we find it? Oh, Charles gave it to me, and then he said, "Don't give it to anyone else," which I respect. I do respect that. If Charles actually gave you music and he told you don't let anyone else hear it, this is just for you and you only.
mhm.
Respect for you not actually leaking it because there have been some people apparently that have done that. But here's the thing: I remember when I finally heard the bite, I was like, "Oh wow!" But so many people kept talking about it, and then I was like, okay, well, where is it? Oh, we have it, we can't leak it. It's like, then why are you telling me about the bite, man? Is it a real tape or not? I got
Yeah,
to the point where I was like, man, you know what? I don't even want to hear it because you guys are going to keep telling me about it and how great it is, and I can't even hear it. So,
yeah. It
it,
felt
it
it felt
might
like
be
the Sasquatch or Bigfoot.
legit. The same thing with Hyperspeed, that song with Pharrell. If
Yep.
that song was such an old song, people were like, oh my god, yeah, that song with Pharrell. I'm like, can we hear it? No, I can't leak it, brother. Stop bringing it up, man.
Yeah.
Until we all can hear it, man. Stop telling me about how great the song is. Jeez, man.
That's very gatekeepy. I hate that.
Yeah, but like I said, I understand why people were doing it because
Yeah, for sure.
Charles did say, "Hey, don't leak it." It's like, all right, cool. Well, just don't talk about it. That's more my thing. Don't talk about it. Something I did want to talk about though.
Mhm,
We said something about the art cover.
mhm,
So it's a very interesting art cover, like I said earlier, because it's a older white woman, and you just see Turn First Sessions over her eyes. And
mhm,
for the longest time, I was like, why is that the cover? What's so important about her?
mhm.
And I never really looked it up. Do you know who this woman is?
No, I don't. I have guesses. I've had like kind of. I assume she has something to do with Turn First or Republic of some sort. That would have been my guess. Not sure who she is exactly.
So I did some research and I was just messing around today, and I'm like, all right, I figured it out. So this woman on the cover, let me get to my notes. hopefully I'm saying her name right. Sarah Stennett.
Okay.
Her name's Sarah Stennett. Sarah Stennett is the CEO, co-founder of London, England, headquartered First Access Entertainment.
Okay.
So I was like, First Access? Like, okay, what does First Access have to do with Turn First?
Hmm.
This is what it is. Her previous music venture, Turn First Artists, was folded into First Access Entertainment after partnering with Warner Music. So,
Oh, Warner again.
yeah, but that's where she started, with Turn First and the whole thing of like trying to develop certain artists. And I looked up some of the artists on there. Like one person that popped up was a girl named Laurel,
Hmm.
and I was like, okay, I remember her because she
Hmm.
had a song with Charles, so that makes sense. And then a few other names I seen. Obviously, we know about Iggy and whatnot, but Iggy Azalea. But some of the other people I seen, I'm like, they don't ring a bell. Never really heard of them. But like we said, it's a developmental, type of brand to try and get people out there and kind of, hey, if you're doing really good, we'll push you over to so and so.
Hmm.
Like I said, we'll push you over to Republic and see what they can do with you. But that's who that woman is. After all these years, I finally found it out, and I was just like, why is this the cover? But it makes sense now.
That the mystery has been solved. Look at you. We gotta give you a detective name like Sherlock Negro. Um, but yeah, man, turn first sessions. It's I think we said what we said 11.
Yeah, 11 songs.
11 songs. Again, recorded kind of during that window of when he was signed with Turn First Republic, all that. Um, how you want to go through this today? You want to go through song by song, or you want to do our pick three?
We could do a song by song.
Okay,
I got notes on everything. Also, if you guys don't know what this project, Turn First Sessions, it's kind of similar to the Dilla, and then they play Dilla 1 because you get the songs and you get the instrumentals, which is
cool.
pretty nice. Also with this project is one of the first few projects that Charles is not he's not making the beats on there. Like I believe Invisible Men at the time was helping him with some of the songs and producing. Charles probably had a hand in producing, but it's not the usual sample that you're used to. Like this is back when Charles is having people say, "All right, we want you to try something new. We want you to rap on this type of production. Stay away from the left conversations and the stuff
Mhm.
that could get you in trouble." So it's like that. Also, it reminds me of a little bit of Atlantis and A, because if you
Yep.
think about it, that project was, hey, we want you to try rapping on this type of production. It's
Mhm.
it's, it's kind of similar thought process, but like we said, unofficial because I don't know if this was supposed to be the album or these like a bunch of songs that were laying around, and then he's like, you know what, I'm gonna just put these 11 songs together and boom, that's we're gonna call it the Turn First Sessions.
Yeah. Yeah, very collaborative with this era. It's very collaborative. Um, and yeah, we'll probably turn around and kind of ask, you know, questions about some of these songs, whether they should have been on, Hamilton Charles, or like maybe, should this kind of been like an album itself. So we'll kind of get into that as we go along.
All right.
Let's start off with you have Zombie Funk first.
Yes, sir.
Zombie Funk, man. What did you think? I'm gonna be honest. It's a great start to this unofficial tape. Very good funky sound. I like the hook. I like what he did with the lyrics. I like how he's kind of tying it in. Yeah, what did you have to say about that one?
So when the beat first came on, when I first listened to this, I was like, all right, okay, like it has the funk in it instantly. And then he starts rapping, getting into the song. Then the hook comes in, and then you really gets into like a little bit more funkier. The song gets has like an eerie feel to it, but then
Mhm.
it's funky too. And I see why he named it Zombie Funk because like it had like kind of like a scary, eerie feel to it, but at the
Yeah.
same time, like it's a groove that you can vibe with. So I really liked it. Good verses, great groove, nice hook. He's talking about like, I feel like he's talking about getting back into the game, after everything. I could kind of see like a music video to this. Like if he was at like a bar or a saloon or something like that, and they had
Mhm.
him on stage, and then the people they might not have been feeling the previous act, so he's up there kind of like petrified, like I hope they don't boo me out of here. And then
Yeah.
he gets into it, and everybody's dancing and grooving at the same time. Kind of like I feel like he's kind of talking about when you're getting back into the game, we all hear about some of the vices that people fall to, and he's just trying to not get involved in that. He's like, hey, I'm trying to do my job and get out of here. I want to still entertain y'all, but I'm not trying to, overdo it like I did last time or how some other people have overdone it. But great song. A great start to the tape. Great energy.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember if this was kind of also the song. It would make sense if this is where he said it, but there was a lot of funk on here, so I might be mixing it up. Was this the song where he said, "I can't just let funk die"?
Not the right song.
That's what I'm saying. It would have made sense on here, but I felt like it's the next one. I feel like it's the song. Yep, I'm right. So it's the
Next
song
song.
following that. But like again, this is a good record, a good start to this these 11 songs. Yeah, I have nothing bad to say about this. This is a really good record. Way back home.
Bar blasting the OJs. Younger chicks wanna laugh at my old age. Okay, I'm 27 right now, but I live forever turning heaven's lights down. Lord, please let me make it home safe. It costs $6.50 to make it to home plate. I can find my way back home.
Another great song, and like you said, he first starts the song off saying, "I just can't let funk die." So has another funky feel to it. It has like a fun feel to it as well. I could also see a music video being made to this song. Basically, Charles is talking about, going out on a random night, going out, getting some drinks in, having fun. And we've all had that moment where you might have one too many, and then it's like, all right, well, how am I getting back home now? And I think he talks a little bit more about like, okay, well, these girls here, I might want to go home with one of them if I can't make it back home, and I'll go over there. Something that it made me laugh, like in retrospect now, I guess, because at this time he talked in the song somewhere he mentions about being 27 and girls laughing at his old age. When you think about it, like 27, it's not old at all, But maybe in the music business, they might look at that like, oh man, you're almost 30, like because they usually try to sign like young artists, But it's a really good song. It has like a fun feel to it, really just enjoyable. Like I said, I can see a music video being made to this as well. Just the hook, the bridge, like this really enjoyable song. I think it's great storytelling because, like I said, you could envision him in the song, like, okay, he's going to the bar, having a good time. Oh, I got a little bit too lit. Man, how am I going to get back home? If I got to hitchhike, I'm gonna do what I gotta do, but I gotta make it home safe. So I really enjoy the song. How you feel about it?
It's a good song, man. It's a good song. Again, I like this is why I always wondered, as I was listening to it, was this meant to be like some type of actual complete project? Because going from zombie funk, which is, basically zombie living undead, right? And then funk, the music, and then going right into this and saying, I can't let funk die. Like that's a crazy, putting that back to back makes a lot of sense. So it's like this feels like this is these songs are connected in some way. But good record, like you say, I think it's interesting that you say that a lot of these are you could see music videos for it because not every song that Charles makes, you can kind of be like, oh, I envision a music video to this. But these definitely had that kind of vibe to it. And I'm trying to remember, did we get many videos during that time? And I would say no. We got New York Raining. We got Down the Line.
Also, technically, if you want to count it, we got a music video for Man's World that was on Hamilton Charles. But how they did it, they didn't do it like a full music video. What they did was like they had the music playing in the background, and Charles is performing in the street. You know what I mean? Just like rapping the verse and whatnot. Technically, it's still a music video, but it's not like a full production type of music video.
Right.
I want to say after that, that might be it. I know they did some lyric music videos, but other than that, no, I think that was it. Like when it came to like music videos.
Yeah, I feel like obviously I'm not a label head, not a record, any of that or whatever. And, Charles will also have to be he would actually have to want to do it, I would assume, in that situation. But I feel like it's kind of a drop ball because I feel like I don't know about you, videos can make or break a song. Any type of promo can make or break a song. I'll use an example. I use an example of it working against you. And I mean, because I feel like we can come up with an example of a song where we're like, I don't know if I like this song, and then you watch a video and you're like, oh, never mind, this is a great song, right? Because then you kind of get it when you see it face to face or whatever. But remember when 21 Savage was coming out with the album and he dropped that teaser that there was gonna be a movie with Donald Glover playing him in his biopic. Remember that?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, there's no way I'm listening to this 21. If this is an album, I'm not listening to this. That doesn't make any sense. I looked at that, bro. I was like, no, he's trolling us. He has to be trolling us. I assume now that I've got that album, good album by the way. Now that we got that album, I was like, wow, I'm glad I did listen to it because that would have put me off on it. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like I'm not listening to this if that's the kind of energy you want. That's weird, bro. So maybe that could have been kind of their thought process as far as Republic's thought process is not putting out as many music videos as probably we would have liked.
Yeah.
But I wish we did. I'm like you. I wish we did kind of get some more videos like the ones you're kind of explaining, because I think that could have helped them a lot. So I don't know.
I agree. I think another thing that probably was taken into consideration, like making sure Charles got enough rest, wasn't overdoing it, because at that time period too, you gotta remember they had him on, was it Empire? They had him on the episode of Empire.
Yeah.
He was doing promotion for Empire because he was on the soundtrack. Of course, he had his music videos. They wanted him to get his buzz out there. I want to say it was the song from Hamilton Charles. I think it was or was it the Black Box? No, it's the Black Box. I think one of the songs is Face the Music. That song was like, I guess you could say sponsored, or it was it was being shown on ESPN for like a little bit of time too. Like I said, they had New York Rating with the music video and whatnot down the line. So he was pretty busy and whatnot. So I feel like with them, they're like, hey, we don't want to overwork him. We know how fast and how much he can put out with music. But it's like, hey, let's make sure he's getting his rest, getting his break. He's on medication. Let's not break him down too much. So it would have been nice to get some more music videos, but I understand. At least we got the music to go for it, at least. So
yeah. And for what it's worth, from our outside perspective, because Charles could have a different perspective. He would know more, obviously, since he was one going through it. It did feel like they were trying to take care of him as far as like his mental stuff or whatever. Like they were trying to be like, hey, let's and like you said, try to make sure he gets his rest or whatever. So from that perspective, if that's why they didn't do as many music videos, I prefer that, because I'm worried about, I would rather them value and focus more on his health versus anything else at that point, because he's gonna make music. That's who he is.
Yeah. I agree.
Saturday Night Live, man. What did you think about that one? For me, before I let you go in, it's okay. It's okay. Probably not one of my favorite songs on here, but it's okay. It's nothing inoffensive about it, for sure.
So Saturday Night Live, I wouldn't say I could see a music video made for this one, but I feel like there is a connection with these at least 3 songs we've just heard, because all right, so he had Zombie Funk, then you had Way Back Home. So let's say Way Back Home was on a Friday night. He had a good night out, whatever, got a little bit too drunk. Saturday night, he's talking about, I'm at home, I'm not going out. So I'm like, hey, did he overdo it Friday night? Then he's like, Saturday night, nope, I'm staying home, I'm not going. Because once again, we've all had those situations.
Yeah.
You had one too many to drink, and then the next night you're like, not going out, don't even ask me, don't even hit me up. Some people will say that, and then it's like, so you still try to go out? Yeah, all right, let's go out. But with Charles, it's like, nah, I'm staying in my bed, I'm staying in my room, I'm not going out.
Yeah.
Like I said, inoffensive song. It's a good song. It's nothing really too crazy, but he's just talking about staying at home. I do know he mentions about, if he had a chick with him, that'd be cool, but for the most part, he's staying at home. One thing I did notice, I didn't say it earlier, but in this song, he talks about minding his business, like, hey, I'm not going out, I'm minding my business. On Zombie Funk, he says it twice in two different bars about minding his business. So you could tell he is allowed to freestyle on this project. Verses are dope. So far, the music's dope, the verses are dope. He's not talking about anything that could offend people about going left. But I'm like, okay, I'm noticing a little bit of repetition and whatnot. Like he's saying, I'm on my business. I'm like, I get it. But at the same time, like that's where I can see some people being like, that's why we want you to write, because when you freestyle, you're gonna just say whatever comes to mind first. So if he keeps talking about minding his business, it's cool. But it's like, all right, well, how many times you gonna keep telling us that? reminds me of Lil Wayne, right? When Lil Wayne would be freestyling his verses and whatnot, he always talk about, oh, I fuck a red bone, I fuck a yellow bone, stop playing, yo, quit playing. It's like, Wayne, I know you freestyled a million songs. Was like, you're getting into like the repetition bag, man. You gotta change it up a little bit. Back to Saturday Night Live. It's a
Mhm.
good song. It's pretty chill.
2 points. The freestyling thing, I did notice a few instances where I was listening and I was like, I feel like I've heard something similar that he said here before. One of them was, and I forgot what song it's on, but he said, I think he said, I either I divorced or I had to break up with loose leaf, which is basically I stopped writing. So I was like,
Yep.
bro, I know I've heard this before because I've always thought that was a fire, fire bar or whatever. I was like, I've heard this before. And then there's just like little pieces along the way where I'm like, okay, I've definitely heard something similar in what he's saying. Now the next bar, the following bar is always different. But yeah, that first bar, I'm like, yeah, I've heard this before somewhere, which doesn't really, it doesn't bother me as much. Um, but it is something that is noticeable, and it does seem like he's not he's put in a great effort into not going left. Like, I think that's his way of kinda curbing that. So, like, he when he says that, I think that's him being like, "I'm about to do it. Let me say that, boom, and get back on, go a different route or whatever."
I can understand that because I
Yep.
remember just me being younger, and I was like, when I would try to learn how to freestyle and try to do certain things. One of the things I remember I was trying to teach my boy, because like he would mess up and he'd be, oh man, I messed up. I'm like, bro, just keep going.
Mhm.
So when he would mess up or he's about to mess up, he'd be like, I almost said this, but I'm gonna keep going and I'm gonna keep flowing. And I'm like, all right, cool, but stop saying I'm almost messed up and I'm gonna keep going. Like
Yeah.
that was his go-to line. So that
Yeah.
might be Charles being like, I'm about to do this and let me
Mhm.
not do that, but I do rap and I do spit facts, like stuff like that. I'm like, I
Yeah.
get it. I like the save. It's a lot better than some of the projects we talked about previously where he
Mhm.
actually would mess up and then he make like a raspberry sound of
Yeah.
he'll do some type of crazy noise and it's like, all right, I get it, but like I said, it's a good save though. It's just something I noticed, something I
Mhm.
had to bring up.
And, yeah, I was gonna say, like, I feel like when people do that in their raps, I just think that's their and what I learned from, like, people like Lupe, when Lupe raps, he always says and one of his freestyles actually say, "I do pauses and stretches like this, That way he can kinda it gives him, like, a small second to figure out what I'm about to say next. So I feel like that's probably kind of a common those 2 things are probably a combination of what he does when he raps or whatever. I don't
Yeah.
know. That's Charles has his own process, but, that's what I would assume is. Rogue, I really, really, really like Rogue, bro. Rogue is a really, really good record. I really like Rogue, bro.
I'm a fan of the beat. I really like the beat. Okay, so the hook, I do like the hook.
Mhm,
It's kind of it kind of reminds me, like I said, about maybe there's some type of structure here. Like this is supposed to be like a official project because
mhm.
like in the hook he's talking about, don't touch me. You could you can feel me, but don't touch me,
Yeah.
And then, I know if you touch me, you might not love me. So I feel like he's talking about insecurities, right? Because he's
Mhm,
talking about, people enjoying the music and, enjoying what he's doing and he appreciates it. But it's like, if y'all really knew the real me,
mhm,
hey, you might not. And that kind of makes me think about what we talked about earlier about, hey, if y'all knew about, when I go left or some of the stuff I mentioned,
mhm,
you might not like it. So it's an interesting concept. I do like the song. One thing I did notice, like I said, with him doing these freestyles and whatnot, I feel like when you actually listen to like the lyrics, he's not really talking about too much. It's not like it's not like a deep song, at
mhm,
least for the lyrics. It's just him just wanting to freestyle and spit some bars out there, which is cool,
mhm.
but it's definitely like I want to say like surface level bars, not in a bad way, but it's like he's just not going too deep into it, because he might, if he does go too deep, he might go too left. So it's like, let me reel myself back and let me not pull that curtain back and say something that I might regret or term first might not want to put out there. So, but it's a really good song. I like it.
Yeah, I think during this era, he's very, not dumb it down, but I wanna say he tries his best to make things as accessible as possible. Just listen to those songs from that era. It's definitely a difference because it's like when he usually explains something, we usually have to decipher it. Like we really have to go, like, all right, what's he really mean here? Whereas these, it's like, oh, okay, he's actually just telling us what he's saying. Now, knowing Charles, he probably has a double entendre about how some of the meanings of some of these songs. But yeah, I understand what you're saying as far as like being like surface level, or what I'm saying is just easily accessible. So like somebody can turn this on and be like, oh, okay, cool. And I like the hook, like you said, because if you know X-Men, shout out to the comic book people out there, Rogue, who I think is top, she's the top 3 X-Men, bro. Like if you want to, like if you're like, oh, we can only bring 3 people here from the actual team, you want Rogue there. Why? Because Rogue could easily be the strongest person out there. All she has to do is get her hands on the strongest person, and it's a wrap for everybody. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because Rogue can't. You can. Rogue can't touch you with her bare hands, because if so, you are not gonna like it, and that's basically what I was saying. Like it's cool to feel me. He's like, yeah, it's cool to think you know me or whatever, and like you can feel, but just don't touch me, because if you touch me, it's not gonna end well or whatever. So yeah, I really like this record, man. I did notice something too as we were going along with the songs. Very structured. All these songs are very structured. 1, 2, 3 verses, small little bridge, hook one more time, end of song. Like almost all of them were like that. Do you think that was because that's not something that Charles normally does? Usually it's rap, the 3 verses, no, and then it's just beat. There's no extra hook usually. There's just beat, whatever. And I guess the Invisible Man or however, whoever had Charles structure this, they made sure to add that extra hook again, like right before the end of the song. Do you like the way these are structured? Charles rapping on like these structured type beats. It's just good to know that I feel like they want to know if he could do stuff like this, which is a weird thing to say because he's been doing this for a while, and it's really not too much difference. But what did you think about that?
I'm glad you brought this up because I wasn't sure when I wanted to bring it up, but we can talk about it now. I don't mind it. It's not an issue for me. I did notice it like later on in the project where I'm like, okay, because how the beat will start and then Charles will rap at some point, maybe around 8 bars, the beat will start to add like maybe an extra piano or a synth or something like that, and then it'll add some extra for the hook and whatnot. I'm like, almost every beat is structured almost the same, like you said. Only thing that's different is like maybe one of the songs or a couple of songs might not have a bridge. Some might have a bridge, some might not have a bridge, but it's usually like 4 bars going into like the 8th bar. It starts to build up sometimes, not all the time, but I'm okay with it. Like you said, maybe that was their thing of like, I'm pretty sure they knew Charles could do it, but it's like we just want to make sure you could stay on topic because we talked about it before on certain songs where it'll be a great hook. Charles will start in the first verse with a really good, conversation, and then he'll just trail off and just start talking about other things. And maybe the segue it wasn't that great. Maybe the thing that bridges it isn't that great, but it's not. Sometimes the only thing is that it's like, oh, so he might talk like in a song. Let's say not this project, but let's say in one song, the first verse will be about his mom, and then the second verse will be about the label or something like that, whatever, and they'll have nothing to do with each other. And it's like they're dope. They're both dope verses, but like, what do they have to do with each other?
Right.
So that probably was an idea for whoever was producing to be like, all right, well, we're gonna structure it like this. Please, at least give us an idea of what you want to talk about, and just let's just make a song about that. But I think it's pretty cool. It's chill. If for some people, I think for them it might be a little iffy for them because it's like it's that freedom that they know of Charles. They're like, Charles could talk about this or that. He can go anywhere with it, and then this kind of like confides him to be like, all right, you're right here in this lane. Stay in this lane. Don't turn off to the exit. Just keep going 55 to 60 miles per hour, and let's just take it home. So some people might not like that type of structure. With me, I'm like, it's cool because Charles does well in that. He can do any type of style. I think he did well with that.
Yeah, like I say, I just feel like it's one of those things where it's like they wanted to. It was very manufactured, but not in like a horribly bad way. But you can see it's very noticeable what they're doing. I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I agree. That's kind of how I felt about it. And I'm like, well, the reason they're doing it, obviously, like any other record company, they're doing this to see if you can make a hit. They're trying to make hits. They want to make classics, but hits come first. We gotta get something that we can put out there and people are going to gravitate to and buy. If they can buy it, great, but that we need hits.
Isolated. What's your thoughts?
All right, isolated. So for me, it's funny because every time I would usually see someone share it, uh, it would be there's this picture of Jadakiss and Charles Hamilton. I forgot that they had taken pictures together. Charles was taking pictures with everybody, but Isolated, it's a good song. One thing that we talked about this earlier. First thing he says, I ain't got the patience to write. I'll make y'all nervous. He mentions that. So I don't know if that's I'm assuming that's a conversation he had with the label and whatnot, because I'm sure that they're like, hey, what you're doing is great, but like you said earlier, I want you to stay in this lane. Please, don't venture off to the left. Don't go over to the right where we're trying to make hits over here. Isolate's a good song. I feel like I remember like when he first started rapping, because he says, about a week ago, like he has that type of flow with it and whatnot. So the song, I really like the hook because it's like a real serious song. The verses are kind of like he shows some like comedic side to him and whatnot, but the very serious hook because it's about having a bad day and wanting to stay isolated, staying away from people and whatnot. And everyone can agree with that, or they can they can relate to it, because we've all had our bad days where it's like, man, I really don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want to reach out, man. I just want to stay in my own bubble. He didn't say it in the song, but it kind of gives me that type of vibe I said earlier about when he talked about, oh, I'm trying to do my thing and mind my business. I'm trying to mind my business. Mind my business. I'm gonna stay over here. Y'all do y'all thing over there. That's my opinion. Mind my business. So I do like the song. It's a good song. I really feel the hook. I really like that. How you feel about the song?
Same thoughts. Same thoughts. Funny that you mentioned like the Jadakiss thing. Because there are a couple songs on here that definitely remind me of like New York style production, but like not from 2014. It's more like from like late 2000s.
Okay.
Because I get a lot of like old 50 Cent style records. Because like this one sounds like oh, what is that 50 song? Dun, 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 dun. What is that song?
Would it be from his second album?
I think so. Yeah, it sounds more of like it does sound like more of a not Curtis, but what is it, the Massacre?
The Massacre of the Second.
It sounds like some jumps from the Massacre. And yeah, I don't know. It again, Charles does a good job on it. Like I said, I like the song. It just again noticeable, but it like we said, they are trying to make hits. So I think they're trying to appeal first with the beat itself. And I feel like that was kind of a very direct directive. I would say it's a directive from whoever was making these songs. Like, let's see what he can do with this type of beat or whatever. So again, but it's a good song.
I do notice. So this is when I took notes down, when I was like, okay, from these like 5-6 songs we listened to, I'm like, all right, there has to be a theme here, because like almost every song, not all of them, but almost all of them, he's kind of talking about in these songs. Like I say, it might have to do with the freestyling, but it's like him going out of his way, trying to step outside of his bubble or his comfort zone, and then maybe things not going as well as he wanted it to exactly. Because like I said, he had his own issues, own problems with being on that first label and whatnot, and everything that happened after that. And then kind of him maybe stepping right back into the bubble and being like, this is, I'm trying, y'all. Like, hey, I'm trying to do my best to, show y'all I can do this, but you gotta give me some time and whatnot.
Yeah.
So in my head, I'm like, if this was supposed to be a project, I wonder what it would have been called, because like I said, these first couple songs, it's like, hey, I'm minding my business, but I'm here, y'all. I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to do the music that you guys love. And he mentions a lot about, hey, people coming up to me say, I love the music. I appreciate y'all, I just hope y'all really love it and you can still enjoy what I'm doing. It's a bunch of that. You get a bunch of that in these songs, like I said. But the rapping so far has been great. You know what I mean? I haven't had any issues with any of his bars or anything like that. No stumbles, no flubs or nothing like that. So he's very commercial about it, and he's doing it in a professional way. So it's coming off great so far.
Yeah. Island music.
All right, island music. So this is when I was like, okay, we get a little bit of a switch here because, like you said, some of these beats they have like a New York-ish sound, but not like 2014, 2015. And I wonder if that was like Charles's idea or what, because they could have been easily like, hey, rap on these beats kind of similar to like a Bobby Shmurda beat or something like that. You know what I mean? Island music has that Caribbean feel and whatnot, and this is what I was expecting. Like, okay, I love the song, love the hook. Hook feels perfect to the song. The only thing that I was a little thrown off by a little bit was I was expecting like Charles to make like I guess you say a love song or a song about a girl to this type of beat, because it sounded like something that he could have made like, I don't want to say a hit song, but it could have been like a sleeper song, like, hey, this is the song I want the girls to kind of dance to and move and groove to and whatnot. And this is not really what that is, at least lyrics wise, because he's rapping great, but it's more like he's being more lyrical on the beat than he is about trying to get people to move. I think he just wanted something different, and this is definitely different in a good way, and I like it. So.
Yeah. I can see how you thought it may have been like more of like a kind of and go in that direction or whatever. But I think he probably heard the beat and was like, we're gonna call this Island. You know what I'm saying? I think we just gonna call this Island or whatever, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But yeah, good song. Nothing nothing too crazy about it from me. It's a good record. Like I said, you said the hook is good. It's a really good hook. Honestly, I don't know if there's a bad hook on here. If we're really being honest, I don't think there's a bad hook on, like, there are some hooks with that Charles does where I'm like, not for me. We talked about a few over the course of the pod or whatever, but like there's not a bad hook here. And I wonder, but again, everything also feels structured. It's like he might have started off with something like, and they probably was like, nah, go back and try that again. But I think that's another thing too, is like, I know Charles has said before that he likes working by himself. Not that he's against working with other people, but there's always that kind of clashing of like, ideologies of what I want to do versus, what you're doing. And it could be both sides maybe not listening to each other or having a strong willed about what their opinion is. But I mean, these are all pretty good hooks. You know what I mean?
I agree. One thing that we might have talked about before in some previous projects, some previous songs, like for example, Charles is doing a little bit of singing or harmonizing, you could say, on some of these hooks and whatnot. Sounds great. And I think it's because, like I said, it is structured, but they have like a cap to be like, all right, Charles, like, we know you can sing a little bit, go ahead and sing within your range. Because, we've heard some projects where Charles is trying to maybe hit some notes or some melodies that like he might not really be known for, but he's more singing from his heart, not from like the actual like diaphragm or whatever. He's
Right.
like, I feel this and I hope the other people could feel it too. Sometimes that actually does work where, some people say, hey, it's not about the singing, it's about the emotion. And
Yep.
I'm feeling the emotion. At the same time, though, when you're trying to sell records, it's like, if it doesn't sound good, sonically, no pun intended, but if it doesn't sound good sonically, we don't want to do that. So let's, stay within in this level, make it sound good and keep it going, which is great. I don't have any problems with, like I said, the hooks, but like I said, I think because so many of the hooks are so great, it's just like, I don't want to sound like a broken record. It's like they're really great. There's nothing so far that I'm like, man, maybe he should have went this direction, or maybe that direction. It's like, oh no, it's good. It's really good.
Before we get further into the rest of the tape, I do want to take the time to, review don't touch your dials, don't touch your phones or your computers or wherever you look watching this from or listening this from. We are doing a punch in. We had recorded an initial our initial feelings on the new Charles Hamilton song that dropped for the King Charles era. But that was before we had some information. And now that we had the information via Charles's blog, we wanted to re-record it with a fresh set of ears and eyes and knowledge.
Yes, sir. I agree. First punch in. First punch in, you know, people make mistakes. It's okay to change your mind. It's okay to put down new information or new ideas once new information is gathered. So,
Yes. So to refresh or to redo this, what have you, Charles has dropped his first song for the King Charles era, titled American Monarchy.
And when it does, it's ugly. Trust me, I'm your fucking buddy. Not a fuck buddy, not a fuck boy. I adjust the noise because it's just noise. What to do, what to destroy. Still, it's my choice. A choice to count for the figures. Boy, I'm about to get deep into the river.
That's the first song. Remember, if you remember, he is dropping, a song a month for the King Charles era. And I believe this is the first one that has come out, and it's called American Monarchy. Now, how should we do this? Because initially, if you want to share your initial first thoughts, I'll share mine. I think we both were like, great sample, great beat. I think we both kind of had an issue or critique of the sound quality, making it hard to hear some of the lyrics.
yeah, I'll just recap over it real quick. So, for this new song, great sample. Kids in America. I'm pretty sure Charles has sampled it before, but if you can find a new way to flip it, nothing wrong with that. Cool. I will say this: the first time I listened to the song, listened to it just off my phone, and I was like, wait a minute, hold on, can't really hear it too much. So I do advise you guys, warning, I do advise you guys, if you're going to listen to the song, listen to it with earbuds, headphones, something along that nature. This kind of reminds me of the dirty leather wallet sound. Some people are cool with it. Some people might need to get used to it, but definitely this is a headphones type of song. That was my main critique with it. Once I did put the earbuds in, I could listen to it a little bit better and I could understand some things a little bit better. At the same time, though, you gotta really listen in when you're listening to the song. Other than that, song's pretty chill though. There's a message. I feel like there's some type of message in there that I might not have gotten when I first heard it because just of the way it was mixed, way the song was mixed. But Stick, how do you feel about it?
Yeah, I think we were on the same page. Again, the sample is amazing. Perfect sample, actually. Um, the beat was good. Beat was really good, and I like the hook. I know, I like the hook. I know it's one of those ones where has like a little singing part on it, but it wasn't like crazy. It wasn't like bad or anything. I understand where he was going with it, but again, for me, I'm like you. I listened to it off the phone the first time, and I think it was hard for me to understand what was being said because the beat was so powerful, and the vocals weren't as tightly produced or tightly mixed or whatever. And I haven't tried to listen to it in the car yet because there's always three different levels of listening. There's off the phone or off whatever you listen to via the headphones, and then of course the stereo test in the car. So I haven't done that yet, so I can't attest to that. Um, but yeah, I listened to it, I was like, "Okay, this is good." And then I like to compare things to things I've already heard, so when he sent me the sneak peek of the thing that he plans on dropping later, I was like, "Okay, it's not quite to that level, but I can see the direction that he's going based off of these first 2 songs that I've heard." Um,
Right. You got to start somewhere.
right, yeah.
Beginning of 2024. You want to introduce everybody to this new persona, this new sound. So you got to do what you got to do. And yeah, hey, I see there's a vision. So sometimes you got to sit back and just enjoy the ride.
Well, which is just perfect because you're right. Everything has a story in the beginning, and the reason that we're kind of doing this punch in is because Charles had posted the lyrics and an explanation of the song via his blog before or during the time we were recording. So the explanation that he gives, do you want to read that part or do you want to try to get into some of the lyrics?
I'll read the explanation and shout out to Charles for writing the lyrics down because at the end of the day, sometimes we might not double entendres, triple entendres, certain meanings that we might not understand, but if you can sit there, listen to the song, read along with it, it helps a lot. But I'll read the actual explanation for it.
Okay.
So with the song, Charles says, I'll paraphrase, I won't read the whole thing.
Mhm.
Ben Jane asked me what the song is, if it's random lo-fi freestyle over a cool beat. Basically, I'm introducing the concept of me being king of the masses. Factor in the fact that I'm Black, former child, actor slash model, full-time musician, and I just served 2 years. For the most part, Charles is just saying, he's been through a lot, but since he has been through a lot and he's still able to come out smelling like a rose, still able to stand on his own two and say, hey, I made it through all the drama, the pain, the BS. I can call myself a king. I should be able to call myself a king. He also says there's other rappers that feel regal after serving sentences for far more heinous crimes. So, and we've seen that in the mainstream of rappers doing some wild stuff. So if these people can call themselves a king, Charles can call himself a king. He can call himself a ruler. He can call himself the whatever he wants. The whole thing is he's just happy and he's proud of his accomplishments that he could survive what he's been through. And this is a little bit motivation because we all go through our own stuff. So if he can feel like a king, we can feel like kings or queens. Whatever, your name you want to be, whatever you want to claim, you can be that.
Yeah, there's been a slight increase on the use of king and queens in especially the Black community, right? Over the last probably 3 to 5 years where, oh, what up, king? What up, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it's important to see ourselves in that light because, of historical, factors of where things were, where we, originated from, stuff like that. But yeah, that's kind of a good message and surface level, sometimes we are very surface level, like interpreters of stuff. But if you go deeper to the song, yeah, it is. Look at what you've been through, and if you've been on the other side of it without, succumbing to maybe those past transgressions or past whatever, you should be able to call yourself a king because only a king would be able to get through certain things like that. You know what I'm saying? Um, yeah, he's got some fun lyrics in here. I kind of like this one. He says, "Trusty, I'm your fucking buddy, not a fuck buddy." That's a that's a dope bar. I could see somebody using that. I could see actually using that on one of your Instagram posts.
Hey,
Before one of
I
your
just
nights
might.
out.
I just might. I actually haven't posted any IG posts in a while, so I'm like, you know what? That might be one of my new captions. I
Yeah.
might caption something from this song, maybe from another song he's coming out with this year. I actually haven't used a Charles caption. I don't think I actually have. So first thing for everything, let's do that for 2024.
Yeah, yeah. I want to try to get into that too, using random Charles bars as captions. Um, yeah. So like this is a lot of Charles talking to shit, very regal, very royal type of stuff. Being like, what am I gonna do? What can I destroy? It's up to me. I have this power or whatever. So it's really about him obtaining, not necessarily flaunting his power, but recognizing that he has the power to do things. Obviously, power of magic. We know all this from previous Charles songs. And yeah, I'm the king of America, whether you like it or not. I have my own crown. So, and what he say his crown was the his kufi, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So with the explanation now, the lyrics to kind of go hand in hand with what we originally said, it definitely makes the song. It makes the song more engaging. So like now, I feel more attached to the song versus maybe before when it was kind of hard to listen to, or not hard to listen to, but hard to hear what was actually being said. Um, the last line of the blog. I feel like I shouldn't have to explain that though, Charles.
Charles, listen. All right.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree where you feel because you're allowed to feel however you want. You
Yeah.
totally don't have to explain any of this. At the same time, though, like the way that your mind works is obviously not how all of our minds work. So there's sometimes we're going to be like a little left behind on some of your ideas and your the way that you bring across these ideas. So I want to say thank you for actually putting the lyrics down, also explaining it, because I'll be honest, if I didn't have this before, it'd be a thing, of course, I'd have to sit there, listen to the song, kind of
Mm.
write it out and kind of figure out what it means. Since it's already done, it just makes it a lot easier and personable for the most part. Because now it's like, okay, I could just read along with it instead of it being like, okay, did he say this? Okay, can I ask Charles? Will he actually answer? You know, so it really does help a lot. You might not think that it does. You might feel like, I shouldn't have to explain this to you guys, but you don't, but we appreciate that you did, because at the end of the day, if you want people to understand where you come from more, and this is any artist, if you want your fan base to understand where you come from, write down the lyrics, or give a little explanation. It doesn't have to be in full detail, but just something small, just lead us along the way. It helps. Believe it or not, it helps a lot.
Yeah, I mean, God know when you rap and like I like write free verses and poetry and stuff like that. And sometimes I'm like, somebody would be like, "Oh, did you mean this on here?" And I'm like, "Well, no." And then I'm like, "Oh, I explain it." And then like, "Oh, okay, I get it." My thing is, Charles, when in doubt, just pretend we're stupid. You know what I'm saying? Just pretend we're morons, and you just hold our hand and bring us along for the ride, man. That's all. That's all. But yeah, that's our review on American Monarchy. I can't wait for the rest of the songs for the year. I think it's gonna be great. This is what we're doing. Yeah, I'm excited for what's to come, man. Yeah. Any last thoughts for you?
Not at all. I would just say, like I said, if you guys haven't checked out the song, check it out. If you guys need to look at the blog, check out the blog. He's obviously updating all the time. He has the lyrics on there. And if you want to look at the explanation yourself, you can. But yeah, definitely check the song out.
For sure. Oh, back to our regularly scheduled programming.
Yes, sir.
Curse the Bonfire. Now this is the one I definitely remember. When I first downloaded it, I love this record. I love this beat. Uh, great, great verses. The hook is amazing. I like even when he does that singing thing right before the third verse. Perfect. Melodic sound right there. I have nothing bad to say about this song. I have absolutely nothing bad about to say about this song.
Look at the rage inside her cry. She is such a firefly. I don't wanna let her go, but I love her. I love her. All I want is a chance to be with you. I can see into the future. All I see is me.
It's my favorite song.
Yeah,
Favorite song for the project. It was my favorite then, still my favorite now.
yeah.
Like you said, I feel like the verses are perfect. It has a chill vibe to it, an intimate vibe to it. I won't say see a music video for this, but definitely some type of visualization, at least something for
Mhm.
this, whatever. I could picture like his words, how he's saying it, and whatnot. It has that intimate feel. It's, he's talking about, some girl he likes and whatnot. And it kind of reminds me of, when you're first talking with someone and you're hitting it off really well, and then you're already like you know each other for like a small bit of time, but you're already imagining, hey man, so the next 5 years with this girl, oh man, like she's so great, and it's like you're already like you gotta pull yourself back, but you're already like falling in love already.
Mhm.
But great song, great hook, great everything. Period. Favorite song.
Yeah, like again, there's nothing really to say. This is just an amazing record. Um, how you feel about Guarded?
So the beat, like when it first came in, it has like this important feel to it. And I was trying to figure out how to explain it. To me, it sounded like a beat maybe someone like Eminem would have rapped on like back in the day, you know, something like that. I like the beat though. I do like the beat. How I feel about it. So Charles, he's talking about, I feel like he's talking about protecting his peace and his music, because he's talking about being guarded and whatnot, just making sure that people understand, like, look, I've been through a lot of things. I'm not trying to go back to where I was,
Mhm.
because I was a bad spot. I'm in a good position now. So let me stay there. He also talks about, I guess, certain people telling him about like some of the stuff that they didn't like, with his music, whether it's how his voice used to sound, maybe how he would rap on certain tracks, maybe some of the bars, some of the decisions he would go with and whatnot. At the same time, like I said, it's a good song, good hook, pretty chill. Just him just talking about, all right, I'm a guarding myself this time. I was maybe too open my first go around on Interscope. I'm gonna guard myself a little bit more with my time, my energy. I don't want to put myself fully out there. Once again, he didn't say it, but it has the whole, I'm sticking to myself, mind my business type of music, But it's a good song.
I could definitely see this album probably being called like "Mind My Business." I could definitely see it, kind of because you know that's the vibes of this one. It's like guarded, rogue with like you can feel me, don't touch me,
Isolate.
isolated, like everything's like that theme is there. You know what I'm saying? So I could definitely see that. Um, yeah, guarded's okay. Guarded's okay. I did have an issue. Did you notice like the weird inflection in the voice, in the vocals? Like
Oh,
it made Charles sound it would make it seem like this was recorded back in like '08. Just the way they pitched his voice on the record.
yeah.
So
Um,
that was kinda jarring for me a little bit, and maybe kind of it didn't turn me off on the record, but it was something that was so jarring that it was noticeable, and it kinda blocked me from, um, deeply, uh, liking the record, I guess. Like, there was that blockade or whatever.
I remember when I first heard this project, I remember it being like, I don't want to say sped up, but like you said, the pitch was
Mhm.
shifted up a little bit. I don't remember it being like pitched up as much.
Mhm.
I feel like I don't know, it might be me misremembering, but I do remember that. But I feel like when I heard it again, I'm like, sounds like a little bit higher. Like maybe someone was like, "Hey, I don't want YouTube, taking this down. I don't want to get a copyright strike." That's what it sounded like, if
Yeah.
anything, but not like too fast. But I don't remember it being like sounding exactly like that. But for me, I was like, it was chill though. I can see why it could mess with someone because you hear his regular voice, and then this one song is like pitched up a little bit. So. I
Yeah.
did notice that, but in my head, I was like, it might be me just misremembering. I was like,
Yeah.
but it's still a good song.
Yeah. Fan Club.
So Fan Club, I don't really remember hearing this. I've heard this project a couple times since it came
Mhm.
out, and I think it'd be like at certain points I would like turn it off and start listening to other stuff. So Fan Club, pretty good song. He talks about, and this is another thing I noticed that Charles does in some of the songs. So he's thanking the fans. The fans are coming up to him. Hey, I like the music. Hey, I like what you're doing. And he appreciates them. He thanks the fans back. And I noticed he says, he's basically talking about, I hope the fans can vibe with me because obviously I've made music in different ways throughout the years. I hope you guys can enjoy the new sound that I'm going to be doing now that I'm signed. Of course, if you're used to, the craziness and the leftness that he has.
Mhm.
Hey, I'm not really going to be talking about that as much. He doesn't say that in the song, but it's like, hey, but that's if that's what you're used to, I'm going a different route, and I hope you guys can enjoy it and whatnot. I hope you guys can still vibe with me. So cool song, but like I said, it's one of those things where I was like, um, what threw me off? This song only had two verses. It only had two
Mhm.
verses, and then like I was listening, I'm like, oh, he's about to do like a bridge or something. I'm like, I looked at the song. I'm like, okay, song's actually about to be over. It's just beat now. So that not necessarily a bad thing, because sometimes it's better to have a shorter song that's pretty good than you having a song that's too long, and then it just makes it worse. So it's a chill song. I think they just wanted to make another song and be like, hey, this is just put something in there, pause, put something there, and then just let's move on. So it's an all right song.
Yeah, it's the shortest song on that on the project. Yeah, just circling back to a point that you had made, about how, the fans coming up to him and saying like, "Oh yeah, we love the music," whatever, and it sounds like during this era there was an uncertainty from Charles about if people would be receptive to this type of music. Maybe because, we had been used to something else, or maybe it was something with him like, oh, maybe he wasn't confident in the music he was making with Turn First. Like, you know, I would never say he would dislike making songs or like these songs, but maybe he just wasn't confident in the direction that they were going. And maybe he felt like the fans would have like a negative reaction to it. Um, so you can kind of get maybe that's also kind of what this tape is kind of about. Like that's the underlining, message. Is like, I'm guarded, I'm isolated because I'm not sure how people are gonna receive this music or whatever. But Fan Club's cool. It's not a bad song. It's not a bad song at all.
Agree.
Does She Know, which is the longest song on the album, which is funny. We went from the shortest song to the longest song on the album. Also, I don't see where this one has an instrumental. I don't know if that's on purpose or if maybe we're missing one. But how did you feel about that one?
I remember when I first heard this project, I don't know if it was downloaded like in a different order and whatnot, but basically how we've been listening to this project, like now with Zombie Funk on the top. I think when my phone downloaded it and it put everything together, it had this song at the top. I remember hearing this like first or something like that. And I was like, okay. And so I remember hearing it. I'm like, oh, so this is how you start the project off. And I'm like, all right. Listening to the instrumental, this does not sound like a rap beat at all.
Mm-mm.
Like not even like, it's not like it starts off a certain way, then they get the drums in and all that.
Yeah.
Like this literally sounds like some type of indie beat that someone made, and then it could have been Charles like, hey, I can rock with this, let me try something with this. And then he did, interesting song. It's pretty chill. It's just, very different from all the other songs on there. He's talking about, this is a love song on here. Where it's like, hey, she makes me feel like this, and I hope she understands, and this and that. Does she know? So and that's up to Charles's alley. So that's great, But it was definitely something interesting, and that the beat just always just like, it always just made me think. I'm like, I wonder what made him go with this one, But it's song's all right. It's okay.
Yeah. It's funny that you mentioned that it's like, the beat doesn't sound like it's supposed to be a rap beat at all. Because when I think about this, I'm like, you know what this probably is? At one point, this was probably like, hey, we need a record. We need another record for the album. You could either do this or Only Christina Knows. And I feel like this is where the decision was made. Like, you could pick this one or this one. And I think you went Christina Knows, which it's a very divisive song, Only Christina Knows. Some people don't like that song. I think it's cool. But I also like Does She Know? Does She Know is a good record. It's kind of it reminds me of something. It reminds me of kind of like an awkward type of vibe where it's like, does she know that, da 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 da. It's like kind of unrequited type of vibes or whatever. Like I said, really good, really cool record. And then we finish up with Co-Pilot. I really like this one. I really like how he closes this one out. It's a very smooth-ish record, and yeah, I like Co-Pilot's a perfect name because it's kind of like we're landing a plane. Like this is how we're ending it, and that's it's like we're coming in for a smooth landing, and this is the record that we're playing as we're landing the plane. So I like this record.
Gotcha. So I like the beat. It has like a jazzy feel to it and whatnot. Because some of these first songs we were hearing, we were like, oh, they have like a funky beat to it. And it's not that, oh, that's the only way I can explain it. It's like literally like zombie funk, and then like back home.
It really is.
It's funk. It is legit funk. Now this is like a jazzy feel to it. So I'm like, okay, I like it. It has a nice feel to it. I love the hook. I feel like the hook because he's talking about the whole co-pilot thing, and be my co-pilot, and we're going here, we're going there. Kind of gives you like that feeling of flying and whatnot, like you're in the air, and that's always a good thing. The only thing that I was a little thrown off by, because I feel like I said, lyrics are good. I feel like the verses were random, right? So the first verse, he's talking about having the deal with Interscope previously, losing the deal and whatnot, what happened with that. Talking about being around the wrong people. So, hey, all right. But then he goes into the, oh, be my co-pilot, Second verse, talked about fans showing him love again. But then with him, I guess the insecurity is about, okay, people forgot about me. Did they forget about me? Because I've been technically gone from the mainstream for some years now. How are they going to react now? Like you said, are they going to enjoy this new music? Or are they not going to enjoy it because it's not what they're used to? They don't really remember what I used to sound like and whatnot. So, all right, third verse talks about, I want to say he's talking about the punch, because he does talk about getting punched. And so we know about that. Talks about the punch and the aftermath, because he talks about, getting hit, and, he doesn't, believe in that. But there's some women that do believe in like women, hitting men,
Right.
And he's like, I don't think that's cool and whatnot. But he goes back to, look, if those are the type of people that you hang around with, I gotta stay away from them because I gotta protect my peace and myself and whatnot.
Yeah.
So he's going. So that's what I meant from earlier, because I kind of brought that up earlier. But it's like, okay, first verse is about the deal. Second verse is about coming back, kind of, and how fans will react to it. Third's about the punch. It's like I could see maybe the first and second verse, like, okay, I lost my deal and now I'm back and now I'm trying to just readjust everything. Third verse talks about the punch, kind of, and it's like, what does that have to do with the whole co-pilot thing?
Yeah.
Because when I hear the hook, I'm thinking about, hey, this could be another, maybe not a love song, but something that you could say to a girl, like, I want you to be my co-pilot and whatnot.
Yeah.
Oh, let me not forget, because I think it was in the second verse. Oh, yeah, in the second verse, he talks about I'll say allegedly, because this might just be creative, but he talks about him and Halo, because he said fans would forget about him, but one person that he really wishes that wouldn't forget about him is Halo, which he didn't, but they were, I guess, at a disagreement. They weren't cool at the point because he said something about smashing Halo's girl, and people would say he said that it was an accident. I'll be honest, never heard of that being an accident. Like if you did it, you did it. But like I said, I'll say allegedly.
Accidentally smashing your homie's girl is I don't see it. Like, oops.
Hey, you remember what Eminem said in that song with Dr. Dre? Like, what, you tripped, fell, landed on his dick?
Yeah, yeah.
So
Guilty conscience. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, so it's one of those type of things. So, but with those three, topics on these verses, I'm like, okay, some of it can kind of connect in the first and second verse, but at the same time, it's like, what does that have to do with the co-pilot thing? Great hook and the verses are cool. That's the only issue I have with it, where it's like, it doesn't sound like a full connected song, because like the hook's talking about this, and then all your three verses are talking about something completely different, where they could kind of connect if you know Charles's career. We know his career, so it's like, okay, this stuff kind of happened like this, and this. But for someone that didn't know, it's like, well, what does that have to do with anything? Overall, I think it's a good song, though. Definitely love the hook, though. Really nice hook.
Yeah, following up with Does She Know, and then having that hook for co-pilot definitely made it seem like we were going to get like another, like, like a lovey-dovey type of record or whatever. But yeah, the verses are kind of random. And even let's say we just we keep those verses, I would have reordered them. Maybe start off with the third verse, because that kind of leads into the Interscope thing and that whole situation. And then at the third verse, we should have did the second verse, which is basically, hey, I'm returning and I'm hoping that, you guys, still rock with me. You could be my co-pilot on this. That makes a little bit more sense, I guess. But I don't know. Again, I'm not a label head. I'm not a producer, so I can't structure stuff. I'm just, giving my opinion on that.
Right.
But overall, I do like the record. It's a good record. So I don't know. It's an interesting concept. Yeah. So before we rate it, I was gonna ask, are there any songs on here, because we haven't reviewed Hamilton Charles yet? But one day I do want to kind of review like all the different albums, kind of rank them in whatever order. When you think about Hamilton Charles and you think about these songs here, what made you, do you think that some of these records could have been on Hamilton Charles? We don't got to get into like taking ones off and putting some on. But do you think some of these should or could have been on Hamilton Charles?
Definitely. It was one of those things where, excuse me, like Her the Bonfire, that definitely could have been on there. I feel like that would have definitely put up some numbers, I guess you could say. That could have been on there. There's some, let me see the track listing again. Zombie Funk, I don't know if it would have been a great fit for it, but it's a really good song. Way Back Home, definitely, I think you could have put that on there. Of course, we won't go into I'll take this off, put this on and whatnot.
Yeah.
At least like 3-4 of the songs from this project could have went on there. And if you wanted to mix stuff around, switch certain things around, could have been could have been done. And I don't think it would have hurt the project either. I do know that there was something that Charles was going for, or maybe the label was going for with Hamilton Charles. But a lot of these songs, like I said, I have no issue with any of these songs on the Turn First project, but there are some ones that are noticeably a lot better where I'm like, man, this definitely could have been an album. And
Yeah.
maybe that's what it was supposed to be. But like we said, things didn't work out. I kind of wonder what happened to the other songs because I know Charles had said he recorded a lot during like Turn First, during the whole Republic deal. They probably have those songs and they're like, hey, we're not letting go of any of these. We're not doing anything with them, but they're not coming out. And I guess
Right.
Charles, since these songs were with Turn First, they said, hey, look, we're not a big label deal. We're just, we're trying to get you on your way to the big label. So
Mhm.
these songs you can keep and you can do whatever you want with them. I'm assuming he paid for them because, like I said, he has the instrumentals and they're not taken down or nothing like that. They've been up ever since 2017 when the project was actually released. So,
Yeah, I like you say, I feel like there are some songs on here that definitely. I'll say this: there are some songs on here that would I would like to have seen on the album. However, like you said, I think that Hamilton Charles, there was definitely an effort being put to make it more poppy-ish. I'll say that.
okay.
Because a lot of like the zombie funk and way back home, definitely funk. That's definitely Charles, right? Like that's Charles Hamilton all day. Like 70s sample, 70s sounding, not sample, but 70s sounding. Because he likes that era, 70s, 80s. He likes that. So that makes sense. So, and I don't think that would have necessarily fit on Hamilton Charles with the direction they were going. Because like with songs like Be With You and Everyone, it felt more like a pop forward type of album. Still hip hop, but like you can tell what they were going for, right?
Yeah,
Um, so I'm actually kind of glad that these kind of are kind of separated from there because this feels like its own kind of thing. Especially with the themes of like isolation and being guarded and not and minding our business. That's definitely I like that it's separated here versus trying to force it onto that Hamilton Charles album. But yeah, man. Yeah, I'm not mad at what we got for sure.
For me,
Yeah, go ahead.
real quick. So for me, yeah, it's just really great. I love it, man. I love it. It's one of those things where I'm glad I took the chance on it because
Mhm,
let's say if I didn't download it and I didn't buy it when it came out,
mhm.
I'm not sure if I actually would have heard it, to be honest. Because of course, someone could be like, "Oh, it's on YouTube," but I would have been like, "What is it?" And then, depending on that point in time, I could have been like, "I'll check it out, maybe, maybe not."
Yeah.
So, but I'm glad I took my chance with it and did actually go listen to it because, like I said, it came out in like June or July, but I didn't listen to it until December. I didn't even give it a chance till December. And if no one else would have said anything, I probably still would have never even known. It'd be 2024 right now, and I'd be like, "Oh, this came out when? What?"
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. But yeah, it is 2024. And we want to know how you rate Turn First Sessions and what rating you would give it. Really quick, we definitely have to go and and finalize these ratings because me and you have both been talking like, yeah, they we know what we mean when we say it, but it would be better if we had like a more clear, concise breakdown because I think, and this is off the cuff, we didn't plan this. Um, I feel like we kind of want to have some sort of separation between each because it would be easy for us to give something the same rating over and over, but there is a separation between some of them. Like
yeah.
there's a higher, like even if I say something's a sonic base, I would rate one higher than the other. And so we're trying to figure out the best way to, to kind of make it a little bit more concise and more clear of what we mean. Uh, but that day hasn't come yet. So with the ones that we do have, give us the rating for Turn First Sessions.
So before I give the rating, one thing I want to say, so for you guys that have been paying attention to the ratings that we do have and whatnot, I guess the issue that we have because we're trying to be professional and also be positive at the same time though, like there's not necessarily a negative rating that we're giving any of these
Yep.
projects, but there has to be like a certain hierarchy where it's like, okay, this is technically better than this or this is lower than this. there's
Mhm.
there's obviously going to be something that's going to be lower than a base Sonic. That doesn't mean it's a bad thing. Like for
Correct.
example, if we gave it like, let's say if we're saying, hey, it's a Tails project, it's like it might not be better than this project, but that doesn't mean, oh, it's bad. Because it's not
Right.
like Base Sonic is good and everything under it is bad. terrible, don't listen to it. We're not going to ever say don't listen to something. It's going to be like, hey, this is our rating and this is what that is. But we'll get to that point when we cross it. But it'll, like I said, we'll get there. We'll figure it out. So
Yeah.
Anyway, so with Turn First Sessions, great project, really enjoy it. I won't delve into it too much, but I will say this: I was like kind of like flipping a coin technically to be like, okay, do I like this better than Hamilton Charles? Do I not? I don't know. We haven't rated Hamilton Charles yet, so I'll save that for another conversation.
Yeah.
Overall, for me, I would say this project it's a good project. I'll say bass sonic.
Okay.
I enjoy all the songs from it. There's not really like a song on there that I really skip. Maybe like one or two, like maybe like Co-Pilot and Does She Know? Depending on my mood, I might be like, I might not want to listen to that right now. But
Got it.
my only negative or constructive criticism I say is, like I said, the repetitiveness of Charles talking about minding his business and trying to stay away from people. If this was supposed to be a project about that, then of course that's what you talk about. Like I said, it's the whole freestyling thing where that's going to come up. You just got to be a little bit, you got to be creative with how you do it. But if I catch it and I hear it, that might be the rapper or the musician in me. But when I hear that over and over, it's going to be like, all right, I heard that. Yep, I like, my brain instantly picks up on that type of stuff. I don't do it like on purpose to be malicious, but other than that, good project. A little bit of repetition and whatnot. The production was cool. They had some repetition themselves, but overall, good project. Bass sonic rating.
Yeah. I'm very pleased that I got to re-listen to this for the pod today, because I feel like it's one of those ones that kind of goes unnoticed or under. It doesn't get brought up a lot, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? Not everybody's like, oh, remember the Turn First Sessions? Like, no one really, from what I experienced, no one really brings that up as often, right? So for me, the reason I'm giving it a Tails rating today is because of that very reason, where it's like, oh, it's kind of in the background, and then like somebody's like, oh, remember this? And it's like, oh, wow. And then you go in there and you're like, oh, wow, there is some heat here that, maybe we forgot, or maybe we never got a chance to listen to because we kind of skipped over it. Like you said, it took you 6 months to finally listen to it, or whatever. It could have been, it's not your fault, obviously. But there's stuff here for you that, maybe you had just overlooked at the time, but now you finally get to listen to this and you're like, oh wow, these are some really good records. I say my biggest like constructive criticism or critique is some of the beats were very similar, like you had said. Like that's my repetition, is that I was like, one, some of them sounded similar, but two, they sounded quote unquote dated. Because it's like, oh, this sounds like a 50 Cent record on The Massacre. But like, if we record this is 2014, 2015, it's like, I don't know if that's still the sound per se. You know what I'm saying?
Question. I could be wrong. Were you thinking about the Out of Control beat from 50 Cent?
Thank you.
All
it
right.
has been bothering me this entire time. I know. I was like, I know the song. What is it? That is the exact. When did that come out? Now I got to figure out when that came out.
Massacre came out like 2005.
That's, you know what I'm saying? So like, that's what it reminded me. I was like, okay, I like Out of Control. Like, don't get it. I like that record.
Yeah.
But it's like, that was a while ago, like almost 10 years ago by the time you recorded that. So it's like, what are we going here? So, but Charles does a great job with those. The songs are very structured. So I will say, if you're used to Charles being kind of having that freedom to kind of maybe talk over a beat or kind of play around with, oh, instead of doing 16, I'm gonna do 24. That's not here. So like, I would caution with that, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if you are a fan of that type of style that he does, that is something to look out for. But like I said, Turn First Sessions is a hidden gem. It's kind of a background character in terms of Charles Hamilton's project overall. But definitely something I would say, go look at it, because there's definitely some heat there.
I will say some of the comments I did see about this project, I haven't seen a negative one. If anything, it's just people say, I didn't know this existed. Yo, this is great. Yo, I can't wait to hear more. So definitely a good look from that standpoint. Just underrated. People just don't know about it, don't know it exists. So if you guys don't know, now you know, check it out, please.
Yes, sir. But when you do, let us know what you thought about Turn First Sessions. Do you like Charles on these structured type of beats, this structured type of song making? or do you prefer more of the free form, his having him have the freedom to do, his style of stuff? Let us know in the comments. Let us know your favorite songs. Be sure to follow us on socials. On TikTok, we are Star Chaser Central. On YouTube, Star Chaser Central, and on Twitter, we are Star CH Central. Be sure to follow us on our individual pages. I'm at Stick Around 54 on Instagram. That's STIK around 54. Mike, where can they find you, buddy?
On Instagram, the Mike Jackson, THE Mike Jackson. On Twitter, I'm going to stop saying it, but Twitter, it's Mike D Jackson, Mike D Jackson, 1D, 2 E's.
As always, let us know what you want us to review. We've gotten some requests that were very interesting, where I was like, really? I'm very shocked at hearing this one. Be sure to, let us know your favorite songs. If you have an idea for like a special that you want us to do, give us some ideas. We would love to do those. Like, if you want us to review or give our top 10, love songs, or top 10 freestyles, or maybe a top 10, that's a lot. Top 5 freestyles, whatever you want us to do, top 5 moments, whatever, just let us know. We'll try to fit that in our schedule. But yeah, man, this was fun. I really like this one. This was really good. I like that for sure.
Great energy. It's one of those things where, like, when you have certain projects like this, you can't help but to be excited because you don't know who's heard it. So it's like, guys, you gotta check this out. This is how we feel about it. We need to know how you feel about it, seriously. So, and then we can have this big discussion and see, where it takes us, because there's certain songs that we've heard that other people haven't heard, and vice versa. So it's kind of like passing around trading cards,
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It just really trading cards for sure. But yes, we are logging out of Star Chaser Central, where we always encourage you to follow your dreams
and reach for the stars.